Hi guys, my name is Zero, and I'm the artist behind the Pokemon fan comic, Jet's Black Nuzlocke, which you can read at jetsblacknuzlocke.com, in case you didn't know. I wanted to make this quick video as a follow-up to my previous series on how I draw these comics. Mostly because those videos are kind of long and not that good. A couple of parts of the process have changed since then, and I think they've changed for the better. So I hope you can take away some helpful advice from this video. So anyways, hope you enjoy. So the first change that I wanted to talk about was my decision to switch from drawing these as one long continuous strip to drawing them as individual pages. So what I did in the past was I would start with a pretty long canvas, 300, 5, and I would just, pick a random number that I thought was reasonable, like 50, and I would start with that. And as I drew, I would sketch the comic out, and as I get to the bottom, I would inevitably run out of space. So what I would do is I would then go to canvas size and just extend it down by another like 10 inches, I guess, and keep moving from there until I ran out of space again, and then I would just keep going. And that worked fine for my purposes because I posted them online in this format. And I still do. As you know, if you read the comic, after I draw them, I then combine them into a long strip and I post them that way. So why do I draw them as pages? Well, one, it's helpful if I ever want to print the comic, which, I outside of a convention, maybe I don't think I would ever mass produce these and sell them, since I don't own the rights to Pokemon and I don't want to get in trouble. But even if I just wanted to print it for myself, so like I went through my earlier episodes, and I did in fact cut the strips down into individual page sizes to see if it was possible. And what I found out was some of them, like these pages, fill out pretty nicely, but then you have pages like this where you have just like random bits of negative space on the tops and the bottoms, and it just doesn't fill out completely because I didn't draw the episodes with printing in mind. So that was a huge pain because I had to go through all the strips and cut them into reasonable sizes, which was time consuming and just didn't look as good. So I decided to make it easier on my future self if I did in fact ever decide to do any printing, that from here on out it'll be easier because they're already in page sizes. Secondly, it's the file sizes were a lot easier to manage. Sometimes in previous episodes, the files would get so large because of the size of the canvas that the computer just wouldn't handle it anymore, and it would lag. Sometimes I would have to save them in pieces because they were too big to fit in one file. So that's a big plus in drawing them like this. And plus, I just think in terms of layout and composition, it's a lot easier to manage when you know where the beginning and where the end of the scene is. And it gives you boundaries in which to work. So I know that here is a page break, so I can't have, you know, something popping up from the next page up. I mean, the next panel, the panel below it up, because this is where it's going to switch to another page, and it gives me something to work with. So like in terms of page flow and yada yada, that kind of comic book stuff, it's good practice, you know. There are some downsides I find to working in this format. It's a teeny bit more time consuming when I'm coloring, because I can't just go through the entire strip and color everything of the like all at once. I have to, let's say I'm like coloring Jet, right? I can select all of her hair in this panel and color it all at once, but then I would have to go to another page and color all of her hair in the hair, and yada yada. It's just lengthens that process a teeny bit. Second, if I wanted to, let's say, make a small tweak, like when I sketched this panel, I mean this page out, I realized I've forgotten the what's it called, title card. I couldn't just extend the canvas to add the title card because that would be physically impossible if I wanted to print it. So I had to shift things around, compress certain panels to make room for any additions. So that's just a title card, but let's say in the middle of a scene I wanted to add another panel. Well, I wouldn't be able to just, you know, extend a little bit. I would have to shift things around or think of enough content to fill an entire new page. So that could be problematic if you run into that problem. But to counter that problem, my second change is that I now have a script. Ooh. So this isn't a huge change because I did kind of have a script before, much less like in-depth script, but certainly when I had some more dialogue-heavy episodes, I would sit down and write a script. Now I've begun scripting from here until the end what's going to happen, and I wanted to bring this up because when I think about my previous videos, I specifically remember me saying something along the lines of, I just put dialogue bubbles wherever I think they look good and then write the lines later. I don't really know what they're saying when I draw them. Yeah, that's not a really good idea, I find, and I really don't agree with that anymore, so I wanted to point that out, that I don't fly by my pantseats anymore. I definitely, let me see, yeah, so like I definitely write in what's being said as I go along now. Obviously just copying it from my script, but it's nice to have them in here, and while my handwriting isn't the same as when it's typed out, it gives me a rough idea of how much space I have to say certain things, and I can like if I find out I ran out of space, I can draw another panel, whereas in the past, if I ran out of space, it's too late because I already drew everything. So this is much better in terms of planning what to draw, and also like the acting for the characters, what kind of emotion they should be making, this and that. Yeah, definitely better with a script. The last change that I want to talk about has to do with the coloring process. And if you watched my previous videos, thank you, by the way. It hasn't changed. I've just streamlined it. And so, to start off, let me just do a quick review on how it is I color my comics. So this right here is the line art layer. Under it, I make a new layer. And that way, whatever I color, you know, stays on the bottom. change the opacity, stays underneath, right? So I no longer color everything with a brush. That takes way too long. Instead, I use the magic wand tool, which lets you select, oops, I'm in the wrong layer, lets you select certain bits that you want in a certain color, and then I would go to the layer under, choose the color I have, and expand the selection. So as you can see, the marching ants are now within the line art, and then fill. So for those of you who didn't see my previous episodes, this expand action simply goes to select, oh, I have to select something. Go back to the line art layer. Let me select her hair. So I go to select, modify, expand, and it lets me choose how many pixels I want to expand it, and that makes the selection get bigger. I just made an action to make that process faster rather than going select, modify, expand, select, modify, expand every single time. I just press a button, expand, and then fill. Oops. So as you can see, it's very important which layer you're on. I have to go to the color layer, fill. If I stay on the color layer and I try to select her hat, no go, because in this layer there is nothing except for her color. So I have to go back up to the line art layer, and then I can select her hat, her backpack, get the color, expand, fill. Oh, go back to the color layer, fill. Okay, you get the point. You get the idea of how I do it. So that it's not too bad, but it does take time. So what I've done is I've created a new action, and I call it the color action. Creative, I know. And what this action does is it basically does everything that I just showed you for me. So I'm on my color, my line art layer. I select her jacket, right? Her jacket color, and then I press color. Now watch what the layers do when I click this. Did you see it? No? Well, it colored on the layer below, and then it went back to the line art layer for me. So let me do that again with the other colors on her, right? So I'm not gonna have to switch because the color does it for me. So yeah, I don't know why it took me so long to make an action that does that, but that makes it so much easier because then I don't have to be switching between layers. I can just pick my space, pick my color, move on. No more flipping between layers. I'm on the wrong layer, coloring on the wrong layer. I just, keep moving forward. And it's so much faster than before. So yeah, if you think that's super cool, I will include a step-by-step guide in the description on how you can make this action for yourself. I would just have you download it, but I think when I made this, it was attached to some of my other actions, so it might not work if you just downloaded that one. But yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something helpful for your own art. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them anywhere that you find me, and I will do my best to answer them. Again, this comic is Jet's Black Nuzlocke, which you can read at jetsblacknuzlocke.com. Also, on DeviantArt, and if you have a Tumblr, I also post update links there whenever it updates, which is once a month at the end of the month, except for November. I also have an Instagram. If you guys want to follow me there, I post silly little doodles and lots of fun stuff. So give me a follow. I love posting these comics, and I love reading all of your comments, your input, and I hope we have many more stories to come. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a good night.